Well, actually, all those things you just mentioned, sir, this presentation actually takes those into account and says that while we will be modernizing at the same time, a lot of de-inductions will be happening, and parallelly across the border, Pakistan will, of course, be modernizing as well. But what do you think right now, as someone who's been the Air Officer Commanding-in-Chief of the Western Air Command of the Indian Air Force, what do you think the government and the Indian Air Force need to do right now to course correct?
Government and IAF always works at tandem. There has not been any instance which I can remember having sat on policy plans and so on and so forth to say that the government at any time has denied Air Force anything that Air Force had wanted. It is unfortunately misunderstood. Yes, our procedures, I certainly agree with anybody who wants to talk about them, are archaic. When I say archaic, they are very evolved. They are not so well evolved. Right. Our trust bank is not very high. Everybody, including me, when I'm sitting on a chair where I have to sign a piece of paper, I am worried and I think 10 times before I put my signatures, because there are a large number of areas which you cannot personally verify and check. And when you do not personally verify and check, you cannot be sure of your facts and figures. And then the hype which is created around corruption, because this country is famous at the moment, or infamous for that matter, for having corruption in practically every field. Therefore, those procurement procedures need to be streamlined more and need to be shortened. When you shorten the procurement procedures, then you will realize that your planning time requirement reduces, and instead of a gestation period of 7 years or 9 years before you can induct a new fighter, you can shorten it to 5 to 7 years. And therefore, the gap between supply and availability will not build to an extent where you put it, and rightly so, that it becomes a cause for concern.
All right, Air Marshal A.K. Singh, privilege for you to join us here on Ground Zero, here on Headlines Today. We, of course, will keep tracking the story. Thanks very much for giving us your insights as well into this story. A warning bell has been sounded by the Indian intelligence establishment to the Ministry of Defence about the advantage that the Indian Air Force has always enjoyed over the Pakistan Air Force. That's a thing of the past. We'd better be realistic about it and get cracking on modernization.